ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरतुसे नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So we welcome everyone for today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is. So today we are discussing from second chapter, the contents of Gita summarized and verse number 6. So yesterday we discussed from verse number 5. So in the verse number 4 and 5, Arjuna gave the fifth reason why he doesn't want to fight. So Arjuna explains, Katham Bhishma Maham Sankhye, Dronam cha Madhusudana Ishubhi Pratiyotsyami Pujaravani Sudan. How is it possible, my dear Krishna, you are Madhusudan, killer of Madhu demon, that I kill my teacher and my grandfather Bhishma? And not only that, they are my teacher and grandfather. They are well-known, respectable personalities. Mahanubhavan, Guruna Hatva hi Mahanubhavan, Shreyo Bhoktum Bhaikshyamapi Haloke, Atvartha Kamamstu Guruni Haiva, Mujjiya Bhogan Tuthir Pradibhan. So Arjuna continues the fifth reason, which we discussed yesterday, that it is better to live by begging in this world rather than uh, enjoying the worldly gain, worldly kingdom at the cost of uh, killing such great personality as Bhishma and Drona. Uh, so after speaking these verses, finally Arjuna becomes completely confused. Even though he spoke very reasonable, he gave very reasonable arguments, but still his heart was not at all satisfied. And especially after giving this fifth reason, Hare Krishna, please mute, keep yourself muted. If anybody gets any question at the end after 20 minutes, we'll take the questions also. So in this sixth verse, Arjuna expresses his confusion, his state of confusion, because on one hand, Arjuna was giving so many reasons why he doesn't want to fight, and he gave five very wonderful reasons, scriptural reasons, and very valid arguments why he doesn't want to fight. But still, his heart was not satisfied, because at the same time he was feeling that this is my duty. I am a kshatriya. So how can I neglect fighting? And that too, when Krishna, who is my dearmost friend, and not only just a very well-wishing, a dearmost friend, but Krishna is actually Supreme Lord. So if he is demanding me to fight, so how can I neglect fighting? But and on the other hand, he was experiencing such great attachment for relatives, and so many kinds of different reasons were coming in his heart why he should not fight. So more or less, he became completely confused. Uh, and in that state of confusion, Arjuna finally prepares to surrender to Krishna. So in this verse, sixth verse, she is expressing his confusion, and finally in the seventh verse, he will surrender to Krishna. and request him to instruct me. And then, following the surrender of Arjuna, finally Krishna will start speaking Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna will enlighten Arjuna in the knowledge of science of soul. So in this verse, Arjuna says, "Na chaitat vitma kataranno gariyo yatva jayema yadivano jayeyu यानेव हत्वा न जिजीविषाम ते अवस्थिता प्रमुखे धार्तराष्ट्रा." Translation: Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we killed the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. Nacha etad vidmaha. We do not know. Katran no gariyo. Which is better? Gariyo means which is better for us. Yatva jayema. Whether we conquer them, the sons of Dhritarashtra, Yadva Jayema. Jayema means we may conquer them. Yadiva na Jayeyu, or they conquer us, they kill us. Yaneva Hatva na Jijivishama. Because if we conquer them, so what is the problem if you conquer them? So Arjuna says, Arjuna has already told in the first chapter that Yaneva Hatva, if they are killed, if we conquer them, that means they will be killed. Because that is what the meaning of the battlefield is. A Kshatriya, any true Kshatriya, he will fight till his last breath. Until unless he is killed, he will not accept defeat. That means if Arjuna is to conquer the sons of Dhritarashtra, that means he has to kill them finally. So conquering them means killing all of them who are taking side of these Kauravas, sons of Dhritarashtra. And among them there were Bhishma, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, and so many other great warriors and friends and relatives of Arjuna. That's why Arjuna became completely bewildered that how can I kill them? And if they are killed, what will be the use of winning this kingdom? How will I enjoy this kingdom? So that's why he is expressing this Janeva Hatva Na Jiji Vishamaha. Te Avasthita Pramukhe, but still they are standing in front of me. Te Avasthita Dhartarashtra. So they are still standing in front of me to fight against me. So that therefore I am completely confused because they are fully prepared to fight. They are not ready to listen to me. They are not ready to compromise at any cost. That's why I cannot avoid fighting also. Because if I run away from the battlefield, that will be a great disrespect for not only for us Pandavas, but for our entire dynasty. And it will be a great disrespect for the Supreme Lord Krishna also, who declared that there must be war. So Arjuna became completely confused. I cannot run away from the battle because the other party is fully determined to fight. Either you fight or you accept the defeat. Uh, so they were fully prepared, and we cannot accept defeat. We cannot run away because the dynasty, such a royal dynasty's name will be spoiled. Krishna's name will be spoiled. So that is also not possible. So the only option is that I will have to fight, and if I fight, and if we conquer them, so still we will be forced to suffer. That's why he became completely confused. So the purport Srila Prabhupada writes, Arjuna did not know whether he should fight or risk unnecessary violence. Although fighting is the duty of the Kshatriyas, or whether he should refrain and live by begging. He became confused completely what he should do. If he did not conquer the enemy, begging would be his only means of subsistence. Nor was there certainty of victory, because either side might emerge victorious. Even if victory awaited them and their cause was justified, still if the sons of Dhritarashtra died in battle, it would be very difficult to live in their absence. Under the circumstances, that would be another kind of defeat for them. That means if Pandavas, what is Arjuna's feeling? He is feeling like if I lose the battle, I lost it. I am in trouble. I will have to suffer. I will be suffering. And if I win the battle, still that is another kind of suffering. Well, this is loss situation. But when Krishna will speak Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna will gain the confidence and he will understand this is win-win situation, not loss-loss situation. Whether we, whether I get defeated in this battle, still that is my great good gain, because I will be promoted to heavenly planets, and especially because I am following the instructions of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So Krishna will be pleased, and He Supreme Lord. So I will get promoted to in I have this Vaikuntha planets, a spiritual world, a spiritual abode. And if I uh, win the battlefield, then also Krishna will be pleased, because his intention is to establish dharma and approved all kinds of adharmic principles, religious principles. So after reading Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna's consciousness will be like this. But now Arjuna's feeling is that this battle is lose-lose situation. Whether I win or I get defeated, in both the cases, I'm going to suffer. So this is the typical situation of a person who is in bodily consciousness, Dehatma Buddhi. One who considers himself to be this body and identifies himself with the things and persons connected with the body. So his calculation of happiness is material. So according to calculation of material happiness, if the body is satisfied, then everything is good. Then he is happy. But if a person who is in this bodily consciousness, who thinks that if I am happy at the material level, so definitely, surely enough, he is going to be in great anxiety. Because suppose if somebody can acquire lots of material resources, facilities to give material happiness to this material body, still there will be anxiety. What anxiety? That I may lose these things over the period of time, and that is an inevitable fact. Nobody is going to continue his life as it is permanently, the way he's living now. Everyone has to become old. Everyone has to die one day. So especially those who are very successful materially, so they also have to face this challenge. Their anxiety is that after a few years, I will be no longer very attractive. I will no longer be able to enjoy material happiness. And eventually the old age will come, and eventually the death will come. And those who are materially unsuccessful, so they are always feeling vacuum, that I'm lacking something. I want this, I want this, I want this. So their whole life goes on in calculating things. How can I get what I don't have? How can I get what he has? In this way, their whole life is just spent like this in a great anxiety to acquire things and resources and people. uh, and the person who has all those things, his anxiety is his fear is that I may lose it. So these things goes on. That's why nobody can become permanently happy, or nobody can acquire lasting happiness if he is just in bodily consciousness, in material consciousness, dehatma buddhi. But a person who gets connected to the Supreme Lord, Krishna, a person who understands very well that I am not this body and spirit soul, he actually acquires the everlasting peace, everlasting happiness. And that is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter. Yukta karma phalam tyaktva santim apnoti naistikim. Yukta means one who is connected to the Supreme Lord very firmly. He gets the knowledge. In Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, verse 62, Krishna also says that one who is nasti buddhir ayukta. These two terms are given in Bhagavad Gita. One is yukta, another is ayukta. What is the destination? What is the result of means the condition of a person who is ayukta? Means who is not connected with the Supreme Lord in devotional service. What is his condition? And a person who is yukta means who is connected to the Supreme Lord in devotional service. So second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Nastir buddhi. I'll show the verse so that you can refer it. So Krishna says, Nasti buddhir ayuktasya nacha yuktasya 2.62. So this is in Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, 66th number verse. Nasti yuktir. नास्ति बुद्धिर अयुक्तस्य न च युक्तस्य भावना न च भावयतः शांतिर अशांतस्य कुतः सुखम. One who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? A person who is ayukta, ayukta means of one who is not connected with Krishna consciousness. So he cannot have this transcendental intelligence. Real intelligence means transcendental intelligence, divine intelligence by which he can understand the transitory nature of this material world, the temporariness of material existence, temporariness of material body, and whatever material wealth, name, fame, or whatever facilities we have. The temporariness of this can be only understood by a person who has divine intelligence or transcendental intelligence, which one gets from when he is connected properly with the Supreme Lord Krishna. That means one who is yukta. But on the other hand, one who is ayukta. He doesn't have transcendental intelligence. So because he lacks in transcendental intelligence, his mind is unsteady. So one who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind. Mind, his mind will always flicker from one object to another object, one goal to another goal, one a source of happiness to another source of happiness. In this way, mind will keep changing, and in this way, mind will remain always unpeaceful, disturbed, and depressed, and without which there is no possibility of peace. There will be no peace, and how can there be any happiness without peace? Asantasya means one whose mind is unpeaceful. Kutah sukham, where is the question of happiness? He cannot get happiness. That's not possible. On the other hand, in Bhagavad Gita 5.12, Krishna says the same thing. One who is yukta, one who is connected. Yukta karma phalam tyaktva santimapnoti naistikim. Ayukta kama karena phale sakto nibadhyate. The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me. Whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor becomes entangled. So, but on the other hand, one who is yukta, uh, with yukta means who is connected with the Supreme Lord, who engages in devotional service to Krishna, he can easily give up all kinds of results of his activities. He will become neutral or detached from the results of his activities, yet he will be constantly engaged in performing transcendental activities for the sake of pleasing Krishna. So, in this way, he attains everlasting happiness, everlasting peace, perfect santi, perfect peace. Santi apnoti naistikim. Naistikim means unflinching peace of mind. Uh, and what will be the next result? In the next verse, Krishna explains. In this way, Sukham Vasi, Sarva Karmani Manasa, Sannyasate Sukham Vasi. In this way, he resides happily, very happily in the city of this body, the city, this body. Within this body, he resides very happily. Elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna confirms this again. Buddhi yukto jahatiya. Again, buddhi yukto. Buddhi yukto jahatiya. Ubhe shukrita dushkrite. Buddhi yukto jaha 2.50. So, बुद्धि युक्तो जहाति हा उभेषु कृत दुष्कृते तस्मात् योगाय युज्यस्व योगः कर्मसु कौशलम्. A man engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad reactions even in this life. Therefore, strive for yoga, which is the art of all work. So Krishna is convincing Arjuna that you become connected with me in devotional service. Getting connected with the Supreme Lord means the only means is devotional service. Just like if you want to connect yourself with somebody, so you need a, connection point, some connection medium, uh, connecting server, you can say. Just like through calls, if you want to get connected, so you need a network, or through internet, you need a data. So similarly, if you want to get connected to the Supreme Lord, the connecting link is devotional service, bhakti. The love and this devotional service, performance of devotional service is actually connecting link with the Supreme Lord. In this way, one becomes yukta. And that is actually the best form of yoga. Yoga and yukta are the same thing. Yoga means also getting connected with the Supreme Lord. Or yoga is uh, known as Krishna consciousness. Means one's consciousness is dovetailed in Krishna. Means whatever he does according to the instructions of the Supreme Lord Krishna, or whatever he does in connection or in remembrance, keeping Lord Krishna in his consciousness. Just like a mother, she serves the child. So even if the child is away from the home, child has gone to school, uh, but the mother is while doing her household activities in the house, she remembers the child. She always remembers the child. A wife, she always remembers the husband while performing the activities. Uh, so similarly, a devotee who is yukta or who is connected to the Supreme Lord, he may be performing material activities because it is not in order to become yukta, or in order to get connected with the Supreme Lord, that does not require you to leave everything. That only require you to connect yourself in consciousness with the Supreme Lord. Then, even while remaining in this material existence, one can remain connected with the Supreme Lord. That is the best, that yoga karmashu kaushalam. That is the best art of performing action. Yoga karmashu kaushalam. Karmashu means performing activities. Kaushalam is the best action, the best way to perform activities. The best, or in other words, in modern language, we can say smart work. Generally, people think smart work means you work little and earn more. You work little and earn more. But actually, that is not smart work. That is actually that is actually foolish kind of work. Because the more you work and you earn something, you get entangled into this. If you work, you perform activity, and if you get the material result, then you will get entangled for sure. There's no doubt about it. But actually, best smart work is yoga. When one is yeah, connected with the Supreme Lord, when one is yukta, and or in connection with the Supreme Lord, at that in that situation, when one works, in that situation, even if he works, he does not get any kind of reaction out of it, bad or good. He only gets the result of the best result is that he gets a pure love or devotional service for the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, which delivers him from this material existence. So Arjuna, but here Arjuna is calculating on the basis of material consciousness. Material consciousness means ayukta. He is not he is not connected with the Supreme Lord. That is material consciousness, and that material consciousness can only give miseries, whether one becomes successful or failure in his life. So material success is also failure, and material failure is failure all itself. Material failure is also failure, and material success is also failure. Why? Because it's material. There is no connection with the Supreme Lord. So what is the use? Because he will have to take the reaction, good or bad, and for taking the reaction, he has to take birth again. He has to come back again. He will develop attachment. Even if good result, is still attachment for the good thing, and again he has to come back. These things will be clear when Krishna will proceed ahead. We just introduced it. Krishna has not yet started Bhagavad Gita. This Krishna, this verse is spoken by Arjuna. In the next verse, tomorrow we'll discuss, Arjuna will surrender to Krishna completely. Then after a few verse, after 2, 3 verse, Krishna will start speaking knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. From verse number 11, actually, Bhagavad Gita begins from second chapter, verse number 11. And we are on second chapter, verse number 5 right now. Because actually Krishna started speaking instructions of Bhagavad Gita from verse number 11 onwards. So that we'll discuss in coming session. So all these considerations by Arjuna definitely prove that not only was he a great devotee of the Lord, but he was also highly enlightened and had complete control over his mind and senses. So although Arjuna's calculation is material, but because that is Krishna, for the time being, Krishna bewildered Arjuna for the sake of speaking Bhagavad Gita. But otherwise, Arjuna was a great devotee. So, because Arjuna was a great devotee of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, that's why within his heart he's feeling that why should I give unnecessary pain and trouble to other living entities? But it is reflected materially. That's why it is giving miseries to Arjuna's mind. It is creating disturbances to him. So one more important lesson we learn in this material world, even if somebody has a good intention to help others, but if his consciousness is material, that means he is in ignorance. He is acting on the platform of ignorance. Ignorance means not understanding the spiritual way of life, not understanding that I'm different from this body, I'm a spirit soul. And what is a spiritual activity? That is called as ignorance. So if somebody is in ignorance, and even if he has good intention to help somebody, still he will not be satisfied in performing all kinds of those good activities also. And Arjuna is proof of that. Arjuna had all the good intention. In the first chapter, when Arjuna was giving reasons for not fighting, he clearly told Krishna that, my dear Krishna, I do not desire any kind of material opulences. I don't want any kind of this kingdom. I am ready to live by begging. That was Arjuna. But I do not wish to kill all these soldiers and warriors who are my relatives. I do not wish to kill him. So Arjuna had all the good intentions, but still, because he was in material consciousness, he was in ignorance, still all these good intention could not help Arjuna to overcome his mental disturbances, anxiety. And you will find there are many people, they come to us, they tell us that throughout my life, I never desired to do bad to anyone. I always desired that everyone should be given happiness, support, and help. But still, why bad thing happens to me? Why bad happened to me? Why still I am very much stressed, depressed? Still, I am not happy. Nobody is supporting me. Nobody is favorable to me. So the reason is because although your intentions were good, but because you acted on the platform of ignorance, you had no good knowledge what is actual good. Simply, the intention to do good to others is not important thing. One should be knowing what is the real good. Uh, what is the real good? That is explained in Bhagavad Gita. What is real good, which we can do to ourselves and to others also. So Arjuna's condition was like that. He wanted to do good to others by not killing. But Krishna will explain him. By killing them, actually, you are going to do good to them and to yourself also. Not just good, you are going to do best for them and as well as yourself. And not for them and yourself, but coming many, many generations, you will be going best. Then Arjuna will get convinced at the end of Bhagavad Gita and he will say, Karishya Vachanam Sir, Nashta Moha, my illusion is now eradicated. This completely vanished. Nashta Moha Smritir Labdha. I have gained the real remembrance of knowledge. Karishya Vachanam Tava. Tat Prasadhan Mayachutta. By your mercy, my dear Krishna, after hearing Bhagavad Gita, I got full knowledge. I have overcome ignorance. Now I know what is the best thing to do. So I will follow whatever you say. So his desire to live by begging, although he was born in the royal household, is another sign of detachment. That is the quality of Arjuna, who is Krishna's devotee. He was truly virtuous, as these qualities, combined with his faith in the words of instruction of Sri Krishna, his spiritual master, indicate. It is concluded that Arjuna was quite fit for liberation. Unless the senses are controlled, there is no chance of elevation to the platform of knowledge, and without knowledge and devotion, there is no chance of liberation. This is also another important thing because Arjuna was a great devotee of Krishna. Although for the time being he came into this ignorance and material consciousness, Krishna, which will be eradicated by instructions of the Supreme Lord. But because he was a devotee, he could control his senses, and that's why he became fit candidate for liberation. So this is another important point that if we want to rise ourselves to the platform of real knowledge, we need to control our senses. Sense control is a very a required thing. That's why Srila Prabhupada introduced these four principles: no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit sex. These four principles of sin has to be given up by a devotee, by a person who wishes to advance in real spiritual knowledge. Then only he can rise to the platform of knowledge, and then he can get the chance to get liberated. So Arjuna was competent in all these attributes over and above his enormous attributes in his material relationships. So Arjuna was quite fit. That's why. In the next verse, these things, these Arjuna's qualities will be more elaborately explained. Arjuna himself will uh, explain these things. So next verse, verse number 7 is very, very important. This verse number 7, which we will discuss tomorrow, is a turning point in the life of Arjuna, his life. So right now, Arjuna's life is like means it can be compared with our life because we are also in ignorance, full of ignorance. We also calculate things on material basis. So Arjuna was also doing the same thing, but after this verse number 7, he will turn his face towards Krishna to get instructed in the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, and then he will rightly get situated in a spiritual platform and act perfectly. Okay, so thank you very much. With this, we'll stop. If there are any questions, you can ask. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
तो सेंसेस कंट्रोल में सबसे स्ट्रॉन्ग सेंस क्या जीवा को माना जाता है? मतलब इज इट फॉर टेस्ट कि आप जो खाते हैं वो? हरे कृष्ण।
Yes, tongue is considered to be most uncontrolled, and from tongue, all other senses gets uncontrolled, and then one gets bewildered. That's why it's very important to control our tongue. And how tongue can be controlled? The very simple process is for controlling anybody who wishes to control his tongue. The simplest process given in Bhagavad Gita is that one should cook very it's sattvic ahar, patram pushpam phalam toyam. And then one should offer it to the Supreme Lord. And as a mercy of the Lord, as a prasadam one should take, then his tongue will get controlled. Okay. Yes. Other question?
प्रभु अगर घर पे लाइक वी हैव टू कुक फ्रॉम गार्लिक एंड अनियन फॉर अदर पर्सन, वी कांट रेगुलरली कुक द सेम फॉर द अदर पर्सन, सो इज इट फाइन फॉर द भक्त टू डू दैट? मींस
Okay, if circumstances doesn't allow, so what you can do, you can offer those items to Supreme Lord which are not cooked with onion garlic. At least one or two item you can offer and take that as Mahaprasadam. That's all right. Gradually, one can get purified of this material consciousness. And if somebody is serious, so over the period of time, Krishna arranges, and then he will be able to follow all the principles very perfectly. So it may take time, but one should at least desire and one should start with whatever best he can do in his present situation. Okay, Hare Krishna. So